Hi everybody, it's Erika here at Discount Fabric Warehouse in Kauai, and I'm here to show you how to transform your Baby Lock Serger 8-thread from a 4-thread into your cover stitch or chain stitch machine. Basically the changeover. So this chart is going to come with your machine. Now, learning how to read this chart is the best thing you can do to learn how to use your machine, because it gives you step-by-step information of which needles to use, what should your length be, what kind of tools you need on your machine. So you're going to follow this chart, okay? One of the biggest things that you're going to do on the machine here, when you're switching from machine 1, I call your overlock machine, machine 1, and your cover stitch machine, I call that machine 2. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to cut the threads here at the top, all right, because we had it set up for a 4-thread overlock. I do need the doors closed to serge the thread out. So that's the easiest way to get your thread out of your machine, okay? Then you're going to open this back up, and anytime you're changing from machine 1 or machine 2, this dial here is your up-down of this upper looper. So when we have the sewing table on, this needs to be in the down position. Okay, and I'm going to turn the handle. Notice that here's a guide. Do you see this thread guide here? So when I turn the hand wheel, that thread guide is in the down position now. So when we put it into threading position, do you notice how that thread guide is still lower, but these guides came over? Okay, so whenever you're switching from machine 2 back to machine 1, you have to make sure you put this in the upright position so that that thread guide is also up. Otherwise, it will be threaded incorrectly, okay? So now all we have to do is thread the chain looper. Okay, so we're going to start with the looper, which comes over here. Always go over your thread stand. You're going to go through the hole and towards the back of the machine. And right on the side, there's a little thread guide. You're going to go here and then straight up and down. Okay, and then you're going to put your thread into the C for the chain looper. Notice it's gold. That's how you know it's machine number 2. And you push the button. Of course, we look over here and we're like, where is it? There's no thread. So what you're going to do is you're going to open the door, and there's your thread. Don't touch it. Okay, a lot of times people will try to pull these up. We want to leave it there. Okay, when we start sewing, it'll pull up automatically for us. Okay, now we're going to thread and we're going to change the needles. So we're going to use our tool to take these 2 needles out of the machine. Okay, just tighten your screws back up. And for now, I'm just going to put 1 in. I'm going to use the center needle. So again, we're just loosening up the screw. Whenever I'm changing the needles, I like to put it into the foot first and then just slide it straight up. It'll go right into the correct place. Okay, so now we're going to take our thread that's supposed to go here. Again, always going over the thread stand. Okay, from the back of the machine, I just have a little thread guide that I got to snap it into. So it might be hard to see, but you're going to snap it into here. Okay, then we're going to just come straight down this way. And then it's just like the other side, but we're going to come up and around this way, around there. Okay, and then go behind your little thread guide, and then you can thread the needles. You can thread it on the Triumph with the threader, or you can also do it with your little tool, which you just put like this, slide it up against the needle, and as you can see, your thread went through the needle. Okay, so now we're ready to do a chain stitch. So we should have everything set up correctly. We're going to go into serging mode, and we can do a chain stitch. Oh, I forgot one more thing. We need to change this cover. Okay, so right here, you're just going to push this lever and pull this one off, and then you can put your sewing table on. So this is going to give you a nice flat surface to work with. Okay, so what we're going to do now is also one more thing right here. Do you see how the knife is popping up? So right here on the side of the machine, we have a lever that will lock the knife in the down position, because we're not going to be cutting when we're doing a chain stitch. Okay, so I'm just going to put my fabric in here and I can stitch. On a chain stitch, you can see here how you can serge off. It's okay. It will continue to serge, but if you notice here on this side, it looks this way, and on the bottom, you've got that nice decorative edge. So you can use this one for quilting. So if you want to do it for quilting, you can also line up right here. You can just sew, and you can turn your fabric, or you can just sew straight. But there's really some fun things that you can do with the chain stitch. Okay, so now if we want to add one more needle, we're going to be able to do a cover stitch. Okay, so I'm just going to add the needle onto the right here of the other needle. And again, we're just going to loosen this up, push the needle all the way up. You know it's all the way up because you have these little things here where you can see when it's coming up all the way. Okay, now if we were doing a cover stitch, we're going to first thread the needle. So same way as we did before, we're going to come up over here. I'm going to snap it into the back thread guide. Okay, we're coming straight down again, and then up and around the take-up lever. Go behind the thread guide, and then use your little needle threader to thread the eye of the needle. Okay, now we've got our machine set up for a cover stitch. Okay, so when we do a cover stitch, it would be similar to the bottom of your t-shirt. You're actually folding the hem down like this, and you're stitching this way. But guess what? You cannot see where this edge is. Okay, so you can use one of the fabric guides. You could have it pinned, ironed, and I can line up my needle. Do you see the little marks on the foot? Each one of these marks is symbolizing where the needle is. If you follow it straight through, that's where the needle is. So this second needle mark is the one that I need, right? Because that's where my needle is. So if I lined it up perfectly, then, you know, hopefully I could stitch this out. Okay, so we'll try it. So on the back, you can see here how I started out okay. You can see here I wasn't perfect, and I actually even went off, so I didn't even catch my seam. Oops. Well, let me show you. There's a tool that Baby Lock makes, and it's called a Single Downturn Feller. Okay, so you're going to put this on your machine, and you can be able to do a hem, and this has a guide on it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the fabric into the guide, and watch what happens. I can push this over, and then if you look at the back, look, it stops my fabric right there. So it's going to help me to guide it in the machine. So I'll show you this. I'm going to attach it. That's what these little screws are here for. So you're going to take these off, and basically what you're trying to do is line up this edge right here with that same notch that I showed you just a second ago. So we're going to try to line that up right here. So I'm just going to use one screw to hold that on. Make sure it's nice and tight. And you would want to maybe do a test sew. Okay, and what I mean by that is you have a scrap piece of fabric. You're going to put it in here, line it all the way up to where it stops in that attachment, and you can serge. And you just want to make sure you keep it up against that edge. So you're just kind of holding it in there. Look, I'm pretty good. So I just started off bad, but that's because I was pushing it too far. But look at how perfect that is. So now when you're doing an actual garment, you can do the whole hem. So I'm going to put that in here just like I did before. I'm going to line it up even. Okay. And then I can stitch. So when you first start sewing, not a big deal, you're just going to go, you can go ahead and stitch all the way around the outside of this. So all I'm doing is making sure that this fabric stays up against the guide here. And notice I didn't have to pin or do anything special. So you can use this attachment with stretch fabrics, any kind of fabric that you want. Close to where I started. You see here? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip the threads where I started. Okay, because we don't want that to be stitched over the top of. But as I get close to this, I'm gonna have to get it out of the guide. So to do that, you can just kind of have your needles down, lift up your foot, and that way you can kind of pull the fabric out, and then you just slide it in right up against the guide again. Okay, and you can see your fabric is gonna stay right where you were. Then you can continue sewing, and right when you get to where you stopped, I usually go about 1 or 2, 3 stitches right there, and then you're gonna stop. Okay, lift up your needles, lift up your presser foot, pull the thread. Don't cut it yet. Okay, now you're gonna pull, because you pulled the thread, you're gonna be able to release it over here on the side. Now you're gonna cut, if you notice I have 3 threads on the bottom and 2 threads on the top. I'm just gonna cut the ones on the top, and then watch what happens. My thread, oh, it pulled all my threads to the bottom. So now all I have to do is tie a knot with these threads, and you've finished your hem. All right, so isn't that a cool way? This is a very great tool to use on your machine, and it's super easy to switch back and forth. Okay, so just as a review, if I'm switching back to the other machine, you're gonna be removing the sewing table. You're gonna unlock your knife. That means your knife will come back up. You're gonna put your upper looper from the up position back, or down from the down position back to the up position. And you're going to turn the hand wheel 1 full turn, because do you see how that thread guide is down? Once we turn the hand wheel, look, it's now back in the upright position. And then you can rethread your machine. So have fun using your Baby Lock Serger. See you guys next time.